questions, questions, and more questions.
Your sole objective is to balance this budget on the backs of the teachers and school employees. End of story. Board members, just because you can do a thing does not mean you should. Just because you can up the teacher-pupil ratio does not mean you should. Just because you can get rid of a whole segment of special education does not mean you should. Just because you can cut the supply money that teachers use for students does not mean you should. Just because you can outsource a segment of your population, just because you can does not mean you should. Just because you can dump on your educators does not mean you should. Just because you can rush to this without ever even having a full copy of the budget in front of you in a budget meeting does not mean you should.
I'm thinking of doing away with our jobs, subbing them out to anyone. These contractors look at numbers, not at kids, especially the safety of our kids, my grandkids also. People that operate our buses in Vivian love these babies. It's more than just a job, it's a love of kids. Can you imagine someone that's in a bus, minimum wages, part-time, no benefits, nothing to build for retirement? What class of people are we looking at? What class of people will be running down the highway 55 miles an hour with my kids in that bus? No experience behind the controls of a rolling classroom is what I call it. Out of a Vivian bus barn, all of our ladies up there and gentlemen love our jobs. We love our kids, and we do a dang good job at it.
Why are we trying to rush and create a budget when we don't know the full impact of monies that's coming from Baton Rouge? You know, when I started with the Red River United, one of the things that was foremost with me was the 3 R's, our 3 R's: rights, responsibility, and respect. You know, I found the Caddo Parish School Board under assault also last year. And I was one of those soldiers that was going to fight to make sure that we had local autonomy. Because if it was left to general and white, they wanted to take over the entire state and legislate our local school board. We stuck with you. When it came to the bond issue, we was out there soliciting support when the local business people were saying, not now because you don't have a plan. Well, we knew in order to have a plan, you had to have monies. And now is not the time to start cutting our monies. You know, we have been your partners, but it seems that every time something critical comes up, we're kicked to the side. We're not consulted. You know, we want you to understand one thing. You know, our goal is to make sure that all of our schools are lifted from this, RSD. Make sure that all our schools are high performing, that all our kids are successful, and that all of our teachers are respected, and school board personnel. You know, responsibilities is another thing. When you talk about taking away our planning period, I ask you, how are we held responsible when we are not permitted to plan? You know, that right there is an oxymoron. You cannot be successful if you don't plan. We tell our kids to prepare themselves for the future, but you won't even let us prepare for our next class.
We had a staff meeting for instructional specialists, and we were told at that time that they were considering cutting 5 instructional specialist positions. I was given accolades at that meeting for this program at Keyfield, and I was told, we were all told, that if there was not an instructional specialist in place at Keyfield this year, all of that work for that LRE transition program would not have happened, and we would not be getting out of our behavioral cap. So my fear is without an instructional specialist at these schools, we are going to go back into a corrective action plan, which is going to cost the district more money than eliminating the instructional specialist positions. So my request for you is that you look at the budget very closely and see if there's anywhere you can cut besides cutting our positions working with special education teachers.
Been teaching first grade and kindergarten, and I'm here to talk to you about the effects of raising the class size. If you have 26, even anywhere near that number, of little 5 and 6 year olds in a classroom together, you want us to implement these Common Core standards, which require higher order thinking, interaction, small group work, working with kids. These children need constant attention. Even today, they still cannot work individually by themselves or even one-on-one. There's too many distractions, too much movement going on. If you increase the class size, this is going to affect the literacy all the way down the road. We build a foundation from the bottom. When I get kids that have never been to school and I have to start with how to use the bathroom and what a letter is and a number is, I cannot get them there if I cannot work with them in a small group. I'm not even meeting one-on-one, just small group, to give them the time and attention that they need. It's more than just literacy. I'm teaching them how to do basic living skills. All of this, this goes all the way down to all of your test scores. We start here. We can't give them the time here and to give them the attention. Then it's going to affect all the way up to 12th grade.
Questions, questions, and more questions.